You don't know the story about Cathy Williams? Bullshit. Sit down, get comfortable, because I'm about to tell you the story of the first female, first African-American female, and the only female Buffalo Soldier to serve in the United States Army. And yes, I said that correctly. She was the only female Buffalo Soldier. Let's just address the elephant in the room, okay? This is a pimple patch, all right? Now pay attention. Records state she was born sometime between 1842 and 1844 in Independence, Missouri, to a slave mother and a free father. Before enlisting into the United States Army, her primary label was contraband, because that was the title given to captured slaves during that time. So she was pretty much almost pressed into joining the military. At the end of the American-Mexican War in 1848, jobs for free slaves and African Americans were non-existent. Inequality and lack of access bore down on African Americans to a smothering degree, particularly those in the southern states. So essentially, African Americans, free slaves at this time, were forced into a position where they had to join the military, but not only for employment stability, but newfound access to healthcare, education, and post-war benefits like pensions. Hearing me talk about free slaves, I know it sounds crazy, being that we're taught that in 1863, Abraham Lincoln freed all the slaves when he signed the Emancipation Proclamation. But that's not all the way true, because there were slaves that were granted their freedom prior to 1863. They were just deemed as contraband. November of 1866, Cathy would enlist into the United States Army. But I know you're probably asking yourself, that doesn't make any sense, because the Women's Armed Services Integration Act wasn't signed until 1948 by President Truman. So here's the kicker. Her name was Cathy Williams. She enlisted under the name William Cathy. She even dressed up as a man, but you might say, well, she could have gotten caught by the medical examiner. But during this time, the Army didn't require full medical exams. So Cathy was able to continue with her masquerade as a man, going by the name William Cathy. Cathy's secret was kept tight because the only people that knew, she said, was two other people, her cousin and a friend of hers. Her military career was very short-lived, doing regular garrison duties, but it wasn't combat that cut her military career short. Her health issues plagued her. Smallpox was the most debilitating, but back-to-back hospitalizations was the most devastating, ironic of them all, because a post-surgeon found out that William Cathy was actually a woman, Cathy Williams. Even though that tenure was short-lived and she was now discharged from the Army, but her adventures as William Cathy was not over. Dressed up as a man, once again, Cathy would apply for an emergent all-black regiment, which was the U.S. 38th Infantry, which would become part of what's known now as the legendary Buffalo Soldiers, which I'll cover a video on them later. Because see, if you don't know the Buffalo Soldiers, they fought in the Indian Wars, which Cathy was a part of that. So, like I said, I'll cover that story another time. Just make sure you follow for that. Now, post Cathy's military career, her health really began to plague her a lot. From toe amputees, from diabetes, from rheumatism, deafness, and neuralgia, Cathy was forced to go apply for her pension, which a doctor examined her and determined she did not qualify. And it was not because she was undeserving. It was because she had posed as a man to join the Army. Cathy is the only documented woman to serve in the military in the 19th century. Just because Cathy just wanted to make a way of life for herself based on the non-existent opportunities that were provided to free slaves at the time. So she ended up becoming the first female and first African-American female to join the military, and also the only female Buffalo Soldier. Now you know the story of Cathy Williams. Make sure you hit that follow button and stay tuned for more stories like this. As long as we tracking.